What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And we're doing it on Sunday now, so that we can, like be on point with everything that just happened over the weekend. So here we are on Sunday, and we had a slew of FA Cup games all weekend, and two people are happy here, and one person isn't. But we're going to get to that. Even one of the people that should be happy isn't as happy as they should be, because they're concerned about style over substance. But sometimes you just got to take the substance. You know what I'm saying? So one of the biggest games of the FA Cup today. Well, let me introduce Neil Chakravarty, Chelsea fan, stand-up comic. What up?
Good. Life is good.
You sure?
Never been better. Yeah.
Like, Chelsea lost a bunch of games, and then you're in a worse podcast background than you were when they was before this. I don't know. The year started out with an amazing Zoom background, and then now, I don't know. Is this indicative of like Chelsea's form? Like, not that this is a bad background, but
I think people around me are just concerned about the amount of access I have to alcohol. So
oh, okay. That makes total sense.
Better not be splitting the wrist today.
Right. I mean, results like that is what alcohol was made for, to be honest. So I'd be concerned if you're not drinking alcohol and Chelsea's doing that bad. Jesus. And we got Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan, with the win this weekend in the FA Cup. But look at that face.
The W.
Yeah, I want points. I need league points.
We'll get into that, but you don't want to lose and then go into the league with more losses. You want to get them ugly wins. Build towards it. I feel.
Yeah, I'll take it.
You take it. All right, good. I just I want y'all to be happy. Not as happy as I am. But I want y'all to be happy. So Chelsea lost embarrassingly to Man City today after losing to them valiantly 1-0 at a few days ago. So what was the difference? What happened? There was lineup changes on both sides. It felt like Man City played their B squad when they took a shot of the Man City bench. It's all stars. And then you cut to the field, you see backups and juveniles on the field for Man City. But somehow they beat Chelsea worse than the stars did a few days ago. So should this just be Man City starting 5, starting 11 now, these juveniles? Or what the hell happened to Chelsea today, Neil? Explain.
I mean, as you said, right? Like theoretically, it kind of makes sense that when Man City, the main lineup goes away, because we kind of played them on an even keel last game. Even though I think they were the better team on balance, but I think we did give them a lot of trouble, and it wasn't like they dominated us. For some reason, the fact that they are now in the weaker lineup, we decided to completely start playing on the back. But I don't know if it was a home or away thing. The last game was home. This is away. But I mean, you're fighting for your job right now. Make no mistake about that. Like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure what's going on in Graham Potter's mind, but somebody should tell him he's fighting for his job. Right. So stop doing this stupid thing about where, I'll play on the front foot in the home game. I'll try and be compact in the away game. I'll try and get league points, and the cup can go to hell. He needs, every game is now a referendum on him. So he was set up like this game, like last game. The reason why he played kind of well was our midfield was really nice, like with Zakaria in there. We kind of dominated midfield for the first half. But Today it was completely the opposite way. I mean, I find it funny, like if he's trying to like rest Zakaria for the league game and all, dude, you might not have a job by the next league game. Like, stop trying to do these things where you're trying to like, you know, pick your battles and stuff. Just go with it. Yeah, just put your best foot forward. Play every game like it's your last game, and
stop resting people like you've been winning in the league.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're not Man City. You see how Man City did today, right? They rested people. There was no drop off in quality because you know they're Man City. We try to be like them. We had Humphreys.
Never heard of him till today.
Yeah, and again, so this just tells me, if you really think that we are so much down in the dumps that we don't have defenders, why is Levi Colwill still out on loan? Like, these are the moments where you have the recall clause for. These are the moments where you need to, you know, have that. You're down in the trenches, right? So you need to have that mentality, like get every weapon that's available for you and get them back. So I don't know. We bought a couple of players. We bought 3 players. 2 of them, I don't know if Badiashile make his debut today. I know Fofana did. I think last 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, I kind of.
So which Fofana was that? Was that the Fofana
this is the
you got
striker Fofana, the one we got right now.
So not the one you got before the season started. This is the one you got for this transfer. This transfer window Fofana. The summer Fofana is still injured.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
That's the defender center back. This one's striker from Molde.
So striker Fofana, and there's defender Fofana. I just have to figure out a way how to differentiate. Yeah. How long do you think it's going to take for this Fofana, striker for Fofana, to get injured?
He pushed somebody completely off. Like, that was the most fight I'd seen from somebody with Chelsea shirt all game today. So he's got something about him, but obviously, you know, he plays in Norway. There's not a lot of, like, I definitely haven't seen him play. So, you know, it's just, you just have to like see how it goes with him. Not a lot of folks know. I just hope somebody in the recruitment team does, because it's funny, like with a lot of these players, like you saw this guy, then Badiashile from Monaco, Andres Santos from Vasco da Gama in Brazil, and we got Slonina, who we bought in the summer, but he's actually training with the Chelsea team now since the MLS season. He is back on loan with Chicago Fire in the MLS. So a lot of these players have come back now. I think that the idea was to use them next season. But now that we have so many injuries and like everything is in disarray, they would actually get, for example, Kepa has gone back to Kepa levels, and Mendy is out for the long term. So our second keeper is somebody who hasn't kept in 3-4 years, backup keeper. So Slonina might actually get a chance now, way ahead of schedule. Fofana might get a chance now because Roja is out for the season. Aubameyang, I have a feeling he's had a fallout with Potter. So it's not looking great.
That's what I was saying about the substitutions a few days ago, and him playing these kids. Was that a statement? Was he like, I'm giving up on you professionals and I'm going to rely on these kids? Like when he substituted those 3 players, especially Aubameyang, one of them, who he was a substitute in the same game he was substituted, was that like a statement towards the end of the game, like, you know what, you guys are not doing it, which Aubameyang for sure wasn't. He wasn't pressing. He knows the deal. He knows why he's out there. And then Havertz today, the handball, and he wasn't exactly like confident when he was up front either. And, you know, then to do that, it's just like, do you think Potter has lost the team? And how thin is the thread that he's hanging on by?
The only caveat here is we don't know what Todd Bowley works like, right? We haven't got a lot of data on him. But in a normal scenario, absolute thinnest of threads. this is the kind of game that you get sacked after. This is the kind of spell that you get sacked after. In terms of like losing the team, I don't really know, because I don't think there are a lot of big personalities in the Chelsea dressing room. Like Thiago Silva probably, but he seems to be nice. Like he doesn't seem to be a bad character. Aubameyang, maybe we've had some character issues with him, like in the previous clubs. We've heard of that, right? But apart from that, like all the seniors players, they're actually they're not that many big egos, and everybody else is young. So I don't really know if he's lost the team, but these guys are humans too. They can really tell. They can sense what's going on, right? Like what the things that we are seeing as fans, the players are seeing too. So the fact that today Potter, he had a good template to play Man City. 2 games, he actually did I said that in the last podcast too. Like these are probably 2 of the best games Chelsea's played in a while. But today he goes and completely rips it apart and tries to do something completely different.
That was my question. What did he do different today? Was it just the lineup or formation? Let me see your formation. What was different today?
Yeah, it was a mix of both. Like the lineup definitely, but it was not a lot of like for like changes. For example, he did not play with Zakaria, who was actually allowing our advanced midfielders to go a lot more forward and in the central areas, and therefore allowing our wingers to stay wide. For example, we started obviously with Sterling and Pulisic last game, and then Ziyech came in, and Chukwuemeka came in. Chukwuemeka had a good game, I thought, last game, and then suddenly as a sub, and suddenly today he's not starting. He started to play Mount as a winger. Mount's not a winger, right? Like it hasn't worked for him, and we kept getting beaten today in midfield because nobody had the physicality. So I would have been like, I understand what the fact that you can try some of these things, but it's the same team and you've actually tried something that has worked. So why are you trying to reinvent the wheel every single time? That really bothers me. Like sometimes when I see these managers do not do these basic common sense things, it really irritates me.
So, Lee, what did you think of Chelsea's lack of performance today versus Man City?
I mean, first off, like I don't think the City side was that weak.
No, it wasn't. I was just like being facetious a little bit.
But it was like weaker than the league lineup.
Yeah, but it just shows the depth of City. Like obviously Ortega, the sub-keeper, he's not on Edison's level, but the back 4, Walker, Akanji, Laporte, and then Gomez is pretty strong. Silva, Rodri, and Foden in midfield is pretty strong. And then Palmer.
Gomez looked good. I'd never seen him before. And
yeah, he's the left back.
Look him up.
Yeah, they signed him from Anderlecht, and he sort of has filled in at times a left back this season, and he's looked pretty solid when he has. And then Mahrez, Alvarez, and Palmer. Obviously, Palmer probably the youngest player in the team. Almost inexperienced. Alvarez coming back off the World Cup, he was looking like he was bringing some of that form back from the World Cup with him. And Mahrez, man, I mean, Mahrez he's had a strong sort of finish to 2022, start of 2023. He's looking on form. Like he'd kind of sort of faded out a little bit before the World Cup, I thought, at City, and then he's popping up in big moments. I mean, that first free kick was crazy. The goal, he scored a great goal before New Year's as well in a game. And just every time I watch him at the moment, he seems to be like he's hungry for his spot back on that team.
If you're Mahrez and you won Premier League with Leicester and you won several Premier Leagues with Man City, and you see these green young defenders in defense like today on the Chelsea backline, you're going to be like, oh, today's my day. Like I get to dribble around some human cones that have no experience at this level. So it's go at 'em time, and that's what he definitely did today. Like he was like no stress. Like
yeah, that's what I was about to say about the Chelsea team. The most inexperienced part of the Chelsea team was the defence, and that's a problem when you're going to City, because the Humphreys and Hall are both very green. Chalobah, although he's played some first team games, he's still relatively inexperienced at the level. He's got sort of 1.5 seasons under his belt of first team football, and even then he's been in and out the team. He's not been a regular. So Koulibaly was kind of trying to hold it together on his own almost at times. And
Koulibaly and his stepsons.
Yeah. And like Neil said, Kepa's sort of regressed back to being a little bit unshaky as well. So those defenders might have not had as much confidence with the guy behind them as they would have. So yeah, I mean, it's a bad mix of stuff. I mean, and this game could have been more as well. I was watching it back, and you
mentioned Cole Palmer. Like, he missed 2 or 3 sitters early before Mahrez even scored.
Yeah.
So if he had more experience, this could have been, he could have got fired during the game.
Yeah, Mahrez could have had more as well. I thought, and just a little bit of a let off. Like it was a tough watch, even for a non-Chelsea fan. But the beauty of it is that it's in the FA Cup. You can kind of write that off. I don't think it will be the end of Potter, because I think the FA Cup doesn't. It's a time when people only sack a manager if they're really looking for an excuse to sack a manager. I think we'll be given some more league games to sort it out. So I mean, like I was saying in the chat, though, I would love if Chelsea would fire Potter really soon, and we can fire Nathan Jones and we can get Potter, because I think he'd be good for us, in spite of what he's doing at Chelsea at the moment. So no, but it's I mean, there's some big games coming up for Chelsea in the league where he's got to sort of show something and get some results, because it's a weird one, because I really like Graham Potter, and it's hard, the circumstances he kind of went into the club, but at the same time, there's still a lot of quality players there, and there's been a lot of inconsistency, as we've spoken about before, in terms of the systems of play, where players are playing, the style of play. And I think it's time to sort of really nail down an identity there, because that's something obviously I know with what's going on with us at the moment, is that it's when a team doesn't really have an identity, it's hard to string results together.
All right. So you're basically from now on going to be rooting for Chelsea to lose every game, so Potter can get fired, so you could get him. All right, that's cool. That's good for one of your good friends, Neil, to know. Football is not selfish, y'all. Football is not selfish at all. We do not think just about ourselves and our own team.
Hey, Chelsea have had it good a lot. They can have the odd season where they finish 10th, feel a little bit of pain. Like
10th,
I've seen my
optimistic.
team. I've seen my team go all the way down to League One before, and who knows, it might be happening again soon. So I've been through some real football struggles, and even that, compared to what I've been through as Southampton, there's fans who've been through way worse, with clubs going bust and things like that. So yeah, Chelsea can finish 10th for a season. It's fine. Neil will recover.
You know what, the whole 10th thing, I was actually thinking that so we had that one horrible season, right, where we finished 10th, Mourinho's second term, just after winning the league. I think right now, we're worse than that. We never, like, that's always been, like, we never thought Chelsea would go back to being 10th in the league season, but I think the way you're playing this season, it's worse than that. And that's a scary thought.
At least do it after you won the league. You know what I mean? The times you did it before, the 2 times you did it before went that close to 10th, like under both managers, Mourinho and Conte. At least they won the league like a year before or something like that. So, damn, I wanted to ask you a question, but I don't know. Do you think, here it is, do you think the only thing saving Potter now is Todd Bowley's ego? Like, he fired Tuchel, right? Yeah. And he picked Potter, and he wants to prove to people that he knows football by hiring Potter. So, like, firing Potter will like be admitting failure. So he has the excuse of looking at Arteta and who else have they been using example? Even Pep used somebody else as an example today to say
I think
don't
Arteta,
fire Potter.
Yeah, Pep himself.
Yeah, and himself, like, give him a chance. So,
Yeah.
but Potter has to. I'm rooting for Potter. I like him. He has to get it together. He has to do something. Like, this can't continue, or else even Todd Bowley would have to, like, man up and fire the guy that he hired.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's you're right. Like, that's probably the biggest thing that's keeping him from sacking him. But also the fact that, you know, who are the alternatives out there? I always feel like whenever it comes to, like, speaking of,
you don't want him, but it's a good option.
Yeah,
because you got you have all these young recruits, and you have this team. He has, like, more status. He's won some stuff. He just came from PSG. Tuchel came from PSG. He's just out there, like, floating around. This place got money. You could, you know, he could. The style of play would be attractive. Modern football.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like with Potter, his issue, I feel, is the fact that it's not that he's a bad manager or his style of play is not good. It's just that all the things being thrown at him at a club at this level is probably just too much for him at this stage, and therefore he's not got a proper you know, chain of steps to take, or like a template he can fall back on that he can implement in this scenario. And I feel like Pochettino, he kind of had the same scenario when he went to PSG, where it was just too big a job for him. So yeah,
but this won't be.
I mean, I feel it's the same kind of scrutiny he'll have, because, you know, the budgets are not that different. It's just that you don't have those insane superstars to manage. But in terms of expectations, Chelsea, probably being a Premier League club on a week-to-week basis, is probably a little bit more high pressure than PSG, where all the pressure is oriented towards what you do in the Champions League.
Didn't he go to the Champions League final
with
PSG?
With Spurs.
With Spurs. Who took PSG to the Champions League final?
Tuchel.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a decent placeholder of an appointment.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not his biggest fan. So I'm not. Like, why can't Zidane learn some English? That's what I've been saying. Like, why can't he pick up some Rapid X and, you know, just get started with it? Like, how much time does it take?
How sure are you
can
that
download Duolingo or Babelfish or something?
Exactly. Right. We have Thiago Silva, we have Conte, who can, you know, be translators. Yeah,
Vialli, who recently just died, Chelsea legend. Speaking of Chelsea, and he's truly a legend. Like, like everything he did in the game, just period, internationally, for his Sampdoria, for Chelsea as a manager, just a true legend. So I just want to shout out Vialli, and but he learned. I was listening to Craig Burnley talk, and he had, like, these children's English books, like Dog Eats Cat and all those books, and they would see him with them, and in 6 months he was fluent. So Vialli can learn English in, like, 6 months. Like, Zidane could, for sure.
Vialli, just, you know, word on Vialli. I think a lot of, like, you know, the modern Chelsea that we speak about, there is a thread that can be drawn back to, like, what people like Vialli. If the folks in the mid 90s, Vialli, Ruud Gullit, Dennis Wise, if those guys hadn't laid the platform, you know, for us to be a modern, attractive club, you know, folks like Desai, we got a lot of praise from that French World Cup team. It wouldn't have been an attractive enough club when Roman Abramovich came calling, you know, trying to find a club to buy. So yeah, I think they finished their careers. They did get a lot of silverware though, including a Cup Winners' Cup, beating Real Madrid. So even though they missed out on the really big, like the league titles or the Champions trophies, but they laid the path forward for modern Chelsea, and therefore it's a really sad moment to see somebody like that pass away.
The guy, what's the name of the guy who owned the club? He bought Leeds afterwards, right?
Ken Bates.
Ken Bates.
Yeah.
But how long did he own Chelsea before?
For a long time, because he bought Chelsea, I think, for £1 from the mayor's family, who were the founders of Chelsea, and they actually had the club for almost, I think, 75 years. And then Bates bought, I think in the early 80s, he bought the club, and then obviously he sold it 2003.
Right. But it's weird that he had it for a minute, and then at one point, just like, how were they doing it since he got them up until the point when he just hired all those people?
Well, I mean, this is a club that was in the second tier for a while, right? And then went down, came back up, and then. But I think leading up to the foundation of the Premier League, it had become a stable top tier team. So ever since the Premier League was around, the wheels were in place, and then obviously a lot of this getting folks like Vialli, Ruud Gullit, and being attractive to players from abroad, that really played a big part in making Chelsea a solid top 6, top 8 club.
Yeah, I remember those teams, man. Those were some good teams. But that's how good United was,
Yeah.
Yeah, like those are name brand players. Like those are Birkin bags. When you're talking about players.
Yeah.
So the FA Cup is so funny because I don't know who Southampton play. I know they won, but the names of some of these teams are hilarious. But you beat a legit team. You beat Crystal Palace 2-1 at Crystal Palace. So I checked out the highlights. What do you think of Southampton winning a Nathan Jones murdering Crystal Palace 2-1?
Murdering's a strong. I mean, it's. I mean, a win's a win. I'll say that much.
You sure?
I think so. It's. I mean, I didn't go in the end to this one because I was too scarred from Wednesday against Forest. But I know a couple of Palace fans who went, and even they weren't. They were like, "We were terrible, you were terrible, but we were slightly more terrible." That was their response to it. And just it was like 3 of the shittiest goals I've ever seen in a football game. Watching it back, like the goals weren't good at all. Like Palace's goal was probably the better one. Keeper probably should have saved it. And then our goals, like Ward-Prowse has curled in a free kick from wide that's gone all the way in. And then the second goal, we just pressed the goalkeeper on a pass back. Adam Armstrong, to be fair, his work rate was unreal.
That was good. Yeah, I remember that. I saw that goal.
I've never seen someone press a keeper that quick. So the guy was, he was running pretty hard for that. But that's 2 gifts from Palace, really. When you look at it, they've.
Armstrong earned that press. He earned that goal. That's not a gift.
He earned it to a degree, but Palace still had to give that to us. Like if the keeper just cleared that first time, there's no goal. Like I say, it's one of them games where it was just ugly, and we've got the slight better of it. Palace only had 2 shots on target the whole game. We had 4, so possession was quite even. Just looking at the stats as well, but because I don't think you can get everything from the highlights. But like I say, my friends who went said it was a terrible game of football. They said that we didn't really have any organisation. They didn't really have any organisation. It was just two teams just hashing it out kind of thing. It just really didn't. I mean, our game against Forest was so bad midweek, and then this one sounds terrible as well. We somehow come out with the win, but the same way, like I was saying after Forest beat us on Wednesday, that their fans shouldn't get their hopes up too much because I still think they're going down. The same way, I'm not getting my hopes up too much over this. I mean, the one good thing though is that it gives the players confidence. Right. It maybe buys Jones a little bit of time, and maybe he can turn it around. I'm still not going to really change my opinion until the Everton game in the league next. City on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. I won't even judge Jones on that. Unless you can pull.
Y'all step up to those big teams, though. Y'all put your chest in the chest of those big teams.
We did when we had the last manager in charge. I don't know what we're doing.
But you fired that guy, so now you can't.
We did. We fired him and we hired someone worse, it seems. So, it's bad though. Apparently, because my friend was saying that even the Southampton fans early on in the game, our own fans were chanting, "Nathan Jones, your football is shit." Like our fans are chanting that because the criticism has been so far that he plays a bit of long ball football and he's quite direct. And the problem is we don't have a team who suit that. We don't have a big centre forward. We haven't got a team that can really play that football, but he's trying to play that football. And the thing is, I don't care about aesthetics in football. I care about is it effective or not. If we played police football but we were winning games, I would take that. I don't mind if we play ugly, but if it's effective, because there's been some teams down the years who have done that to great effect. So Pulis's Stoke or Simeone's Atletico in the early days, especially, like they played ugly, but they won. And when it comes down to it, all football fans really want to see is their team win. And I would take ugly football if it meant winning and staying up and being comfortable mid-table. But there's nothing worse than ugly football and losing. I mean, ask Martin, because that's what Spurs have had for some of their games this season. I know they've ground out a few wins with it, but I mean, there's nothing worse than watching your team play shit football and lose. I don't mind shit football if it wins, because it's not shit football. It's ugly, but it's effective at times. But if you have a big presence up front that you can fire the ball up to, and they're going to win headers, and you're going to be a menace off of set pieces and throw-ins and things like that, and you can terrify teams by doing that, then do that. It's about utilizing the weapons you have at your advantage. The problem is though, if we try and play football, this team isn't amazing at doing that.
You don't have the skill to do it.
Yeah, so we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. But I think trying to play football
maybe
at
that's
the moment
why he's
with the players
he's going
we have,
so direct, and he's panicking, and he sees that, and he's like, let me go direct, because when we keep the ball and try to play out, we'll get caught and we'll lose games. The same thing Forest is doing. Like Forest is, instead of like pressing now, they go back to the half block. They just park the bus and then try to counter. I'm looking at the highlights of the game right now since you started talking about them. And I know this was a shitty game because the highlights is only 5 minutes. Like when Google puts
I'm surprised it's 5. 5 is generous.
Yeah, and it's too much, Like if I watch the highlights of like a Premier League game on Google, it's like 14 minutes. You're like watching the whole game. This is like 5 minutes. And I'm like questioning
what are they doing?
Are they things that they call in highlights.
Are they just showing each goal like 50 times?
They're showing they're showing yeah.
But like their goal was terrible. Like Salisu just smashed the ball up in the air, and then it fell to a Palace player who just sort of tackled the ball forwards, and then all of a sudden Edouard's in because our defenders dived in and then just finishes. And yeah, it was a terrible game. Like apparently the players showed a bit more fight than the Forest game, which is something that's a positive, I guess. That they showed a bit more fight. But like I said, I've got two friends who are Palace fans who don't know each other as well, and they both gave me the same story. So I was like, they've not had time to corroborate this. They both said we lacked a bit of organisation, a bit of direction, which has been my complaint from the games under Jones so far. So hopefully playing City on Wednesday doesn't dent our confidence too much, and then we can go and play Everton and get some sort of positive result. But Orsic, I don't know when he's going to come into the team. That signing's confirmed now, the Croatian forward from Dinamo Zagreb.
All right.
He's
Congrats.
in. He's confirmed. He's held up the shirt and everything. He's definitely here. I mean, I've got to wonder for the guy's mental health, having seen how we've been playing, and he's gone, yeah, I want to join this team. But I mean, it's an opportunity.
He just wants to get out of that league.
That's it. Well, it's an opportunity for him to put himself in the shop window for 6 months or whatever, and to play in the Premier League. And if we go down, he might be able to get a move somewhere decent. Or he can become a hero, keep us up, and play in the Premier League with us next season. So, but we're going to need more than him. He's a good addition because he's a clinical finisher and he's experienced. So that's what we need. So that's one tick in the box. If we can get Mofi from Lorient, he's a powerful forward, which would suit Jones's football a little bit more. We've been linked with a guy Alcaraz from I think Racing Club in Argentina, 20-year-old centre midfielder that Inter and Benfica have been looking at. So
you guys are looking at people. What do you think? You are Chelsea?
No, they might actually make a deal with Benfica, unlike us.
Yeah, well, the problem is the most talented people in our team at the moment are probably the scouts. So if they can get these guys in, they seem like good additions. So if they can get them in, then great, because they're positions we need to strengthen in. Weirdly, we've been linked with Keane from Everton as well, the centre back, to add a bit of experience back there. But I don't know if Everton will sell him to us, because right now we're in pretty direct competition with them.
Yeah.
But I think his contract's up, so it depends if they want some money for him or not. But yeah, we'll see. But no, I mean, a win's a win. I'm not getting my hopes up too much because of the nature of it, and because it was a cup game. Palace kept Eze on the bench as well for this one, so they could have gone maybe a bit stronger. Other than that, it was pretty much a full Palace team, though. I mean, just looking at it, they had like Anderson and Gueye at the back with Gaeta in goal, Olise, Ayew, Edouard, Zaha. So they had like a pretty strong team. As did we. We were trying to win the game. We put Lavia back on the bench for this one, just so we weren't running him into the ground.
So your lineup suggests you were trying to win the game as opposed to Potter's lineup, like we're both in the same position at different ends of the table, and it's like, yeah, you got to try to win the game when you're down. You got to play your best players and worry about the next game later. Just like Neil was saying, it says here you guys had 76% pass accuracy and 421 passes. So that's a lot of back passing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Palace probably saw the way Forest played against us midweek and went, yeah, we'll let you have the ball because you don't really know what you're doing with it. And again, if like long ball against Palace doesn't really work when we've got Shea Adams up front, who I love. Shea, he works hard. You know, not the most prolific, but he does work. Work rate is one thing he'll give you, but he's not the tallest. He jumps and tries to win all the headers, but against Gray and Anderson, he's not going to win shit. And that's the problem. But, you know, we'll see. Like I say, not getting my hopes up too much, but it's a step in the right direction. I'll ignore whatever happens against City, and then we'll see what happens against Everton.
Hilarious. So this morning, like I got home from the club last night, and it's weird not waking up Premier League time to watch Premier League matches. So before I went to bed, so let me see.
Ian, before you go, I got a bounce. So
okay.
I'll catch you guys.
All right, catch you guys. Catch you later, fam.
All right, see you later.
Thanks for joining. Cheer up.
I will.
So I was like, I want to watch a game in the morning because that's what I'm used to. So I looked at the FA Cup schedule, and there's like a few games at 6 a.m. And I was like, Cardiff versus Leeds. I was like, I you know, Jesse Marsh, some American players, and the Leeds are an attractive team, win or lose, to watch. And you know, I'm rooting for them because of all the American connections. So I'm like, let me check this game out. And let me tell you something, man. This game was the game. Like, even when I was watching Chelsea versus Man City later on, that game paled in comparison to what happened in this Cardiff and Leeds game. Even on a skill level, even on a technical level, like, it was weird to see Cardiff play at a high technical level, or it appeared that they did. And then both teams, so let me see. I know where Leeds is at the table. They're hovering above the relegation zone, right? Relegation zone.
Mm-hmm.
But then I checked out where Cardiff is in the table, and they're 20th. How many teams go down in the championship?
4, I believe.
4. So they're right above.
3 or 4.
3 or 4. So they're right above the relegation zone too. So it's 2 teams in 2 different leagues, one above the other, both above the relegation zone. And Cardiff started out like kind of low blocking, and Leeds really went at them. They went at them, but they got caught out twice. So then to see Jesse Marsh's face when his Premier League team is down 2-0 to a championship team, also when he's like one of the most eligible managers to be fired, you're like, I just felt bad for him, you know? And this was by half time, they were down 2-0. So they come into the second half, he doesn't make any substitutions. And then like 60 something, maybe 70 minutes in, he does make some substitutions. And they get one back. Rodrigo puts the ball in the back of the net. And then they keep trying. And Cardiff is trying to do what they did in the first half. They're like, all right, keep attacking us. We just need one more counter, make this shit 3-1, and you're dead. You're a dead man. And then Cardiff is soaking up the pressure, and some of the subs for Leeds come through. They create an opportunity, and I can't remember who took the shot to put the ball in the back of the net. It might have been Rodrigo again, but one of the Cardiff players, 10 minutes before the game ends, puts his hands out, hands the ball. So then that guy gets a red card, and it's a penalty. And you're like, all right, Leeds is going to tie this shit up. And Jesse Marsh is going to get a reprieve. And Rodrigo takes a penalty, and the keeper saves it. And I'm like, what the hell? And then Jesse Marsh makes some other subs, and one of those other subs gets another opportunity, puts the ball wide, like right in front of goal. You're like, this is crazy. Like, this is not even on Jesse. Like, part of a coach's job is to set his team up to win or to try to go for the wins. And that is exactly what Leeds is doing. But the FA Cup is not a game. It'll just fuck you if it feels like fucking you. And it just felt like that's what was going to happen. Then Jesse Marsh makes one more sub, and that last sub, that guy is in a space at the right time and place and puts the ball in the back of the net and ties the game up in extra time. And that's now they're going to have to play another cup tie. A cup tie, I guess, at Leeds. This one was at Cardiff. But they, the Leeds fans, they're loyal. Like 6,000 of them traveled to Wales to see this match and to support their team and to cheer them through. So if Jesse Marsh gets this team on track, like, he's going to have all the support in the world. It's a great team to coach if you can get them winning. And I think they don't hate him. I think if you travel 6,000, you got to like something about the team's effort, and then maybe the way they play football. It's just that they don't want to lose and go back down. So then there's that part. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But great job by Leeds today versus Cardiff. And good fight, Cardiff. Man. You really scared the shit out of them, horror movie style.
Yeah, it's an entertaining game, that one. And they've got to go to a replay, which I'm not mad about, given that Leeds are one of our rivals down there right now. Them playing an extra game, hopefully pick up some injuries or some tiredness. I'll take that. And But no, it was an interesting game, and Rodrigo missing that penalty. I thought that was maybe their chance to turn it round, but they did it eventually. But yeah, like you say, props to Cardiff. That's it's a good fight from them considering where they are in the Championship as well. It's also it's weirdly one of it's a rivalry, even though they're not near each other geographically. They're two of the sort of liveliest sets of fans that you can get. So it's they're two, like, it's always heavily policed when it's Cardiff Leeds, and Leeds do travel in numbers, but their fans would have gone in numbers just because they don't want to be outsung by or outfought by Cardiff fans. But no, it's an interesting one as well. The Cardiff manager he's from a town near me, Mark Hudson, no relation. He used to play centre back for a few teams, and he was at Crystal Palace once. And I was in a nightclub and started talking to him. This was years ago when he was playing for Palace, and Drogba was in his early days at Chelsea. And one of my friends who was with me as a Chelsea fan was saying that, like, Drogba's going to eat you up, and our new guy's gonna give you the runaround. And he goes, I'm going to sort him out. And then lo and behold, he ended up getting booked in that game for a horrible tackle through the back of Didier Drogba, which ended up injuring Drogba in his early Chelsea days. So yeah, he called it. But he's a very good coach by all accounts. He was at Huddersfield for a little while after he finished playing. On the staff there, ended up being their caretaker manager, and he's got his first full proper job at Cardiff. Obviously they're struggling a little bit, but hopefully he can turn it around.
I'm doing this because let's see if it happens. We're going to share the screen, so we'll see if it happens. So the people, can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's on the screen. It's on the thing. It's blurry at the moment because it's saying screen broadcast. I can't see it fully. There we go.
What about now? Okay.
Yeah, we go.
I was looking at him all game, and I was like, why does he look like Declan Rice's older brother?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
So that's the only thing I wanted to be like. I didn't know Declan Rice's older brother was a coach. Did the screen stop sharing?
Yeah, it's gone back. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see that stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go back to this. So what's going on with Liverpool, man? It's West Ham, it's a Premier League team, it's the FA Cup, so they're gonna come to play, but
Wolves, wasn't it? Sorry.
Wolves, yeah, sorry, Wolves. It's a Premier League team, but they're probably pretty much in the same position in the table. Like, this is as West Ham, but it's weird and it ain't weird. But this is Liverpool now. The same way you'll be like, nah, like, I don't even believe they'll get it together. The same way I don't believe Chelsea will get it together. This is them. Like, it just is what it is,
Yeah, and we're talking about goals in the Saints Palace game that were gifts. That first goal for Wolves. Oof. When Alisson's fucking up, it's bad for Liverpool.
Yeah, Alisson was on some Keystone Buster. It's like, who is that? Who was that? Like, it's like when you kidnap the player and then put or when it's a body double that played today, because when does Alisson make those mistakes? Like, he only made mistakes like that when a few years ago when his father died and nobody knew, and it was like messing with his game. So I hope his family is all right, because that's the only time you see this type of Alisson. So yeah, man, it's what is going on with Liverpool? We figure it's the midfield, right? But it's just,
the defense is rugby. Van Dijk's out injured now as well.
Right.
Which, I mean, he wasn't playing that great for them, but I mean, I think he's still better than the other options they have at the back there. But I mean, the forwards were doing decent work in this game to an extent. I mean, Nunez took his goal really well. I think he needed that goal just for his own personal confidence. But I mean, he took that really well as the ball was coming across. He saw that the keeper was moving one way and he could just roll it across into the other corner. And Salah's goal was just Salah doing what he does best, just being technically very, very good. The way he brought that ball down and then just calmly finished into the corner. So yeah, the forwards are kind of doing what they're doing. This was Gakpo's first game, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to take him a little bit of time to learn, you know, what is being asked of him in the system at Liverpool, and to get used to English football. So he's obviously, you know, got that, and we'll see what happens. What did you think of the late goal that got chalked off?
That's the thing. This, because of the circumstances of it, that's why Liverpool is still in this competition. Like, I don't know what Klopp is angry at most. He hates extra games, right? So he's probably mad they didn't win.
Yeah.
Mad that they have to play an extra game, and mad that they probably didn't lose, so that they don't have to play an extra game. So I don't know what he's upset about the most, but yeah, it's weird. Like, when you think you've seen everything in football, it just does something else. And I guess so. Before the ball went in the net, the linesman put the flag up and the referee blew the whistle. Is that what it was? Or
yeah, it was just a very weird offside call. Lopetegui was not happy.
right.
He was raging in that dugout. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it must have been like all 4-letter English coming out of that dugout. Jeez. But yeah, you know, he's new coach. He wants to get these wins and pad like his record and not have the heat on him from the fans. And he put up a good, you know, and they played at Anfield, right? So to go up there, I guess he's getting the organization. It's a good sign for Wolves. You know, they played a stacked Liverpool team, and they went mano a mano, even though we don't know if that was a body double Allison or not. And you want to win those games because it might not be body double Allison next time. It might be real Allison, and that Allison's hard to. So if he's gonna give you some gifts, you want to win and just get away from there and not have to deal with this situation again. But at least the replay should be at Wolves, right?
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. So at least they'll have home court advantage, even if the real Allison shows up. But
again, I'm not mad at seeing another relegation rival have to have a replay.
Which one? You say relegation rival? Which you mean Liverpool or Wolves?
Well, Wolves, but who knows if Liverpool keep having these results?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it does worry me that Wolves are getting their shit together. And like I say, we need to just make sure we get our shit together too. But yeah, I mean, Wolves, for me, like their squad should be good enough, and especially with a manager who knows what he's doing and how to win football games as well, then they should have just about enough.
Yeah, I feel like they should be all right. I guess one more FA Cup game to talk about before we discuss like what's the 4 games in the League Cup. And let's see, I'll just talk about United and dealing with Everton on Friday. And it's funny. I love our fan base because we wouldn't be what we are without our fan base. But sometimes it's like we win and then we look for people to pick on who didn't play well, you know, out of the people that did play well. But you don't, win without those people. And those people didn't make any mistakes to cause us not to win. Now, but as I explain this game, I'm also going to slide down the same path that I don't want the fan base to slide down. But, you know, I'm going to be negative optimistically. So it's Anthony, you know, he scored. So that's great. That's why you hire, and pay someone like that. You pay them to score. He scored the first goal of the game, but everybody's like, but he didn't play that well. And it's like, you want somebody to play well and not score, or you want somebody to play bad and score, because goals win the game. And I understand what people are saying if they don't think he gave the maximum, but he's new in the league, but at least he's doing one of the major things that you hired him for, and that is to score. But also Anthony has to take people on and go down the right side of the field. He can't always be predictable and cut back inside. It really limits us. So he has to do some right foot dribbling skills, unless he gets more rapid and just kills people like Iron Robin did. But he's really one-dimensional right now. And there's sometimes when he even got the overlap from the lot that he didn't even feed the lot. That's how left foot dependent he is, that he can't even feed the lot or anybody who overlaps him. You got to at least play the overlap to keep the ball going down the right side of the pitch. But he just keeps going inside. So that was a little frustrating, but he's new and he scored, and that's important. We needed that goal, and so great. People are saying Bruno Fernandes didn't play that great, but there were some plays that weren't completed from great passes that Bruno Fernandes has made that could have resulted in goals. So, hey man, Bruno Fernandes is also, and nobody, when you're a 10, nobody looks at the defensive work you're doing too, and the covering of people. And this team last year, nobody was covering anybody. And the reason why our defense is so good, and this is the first goal we've let in goal in a while, is because everybody's like being responsible and accountable and doing their defensive duties. So even if we win a game 1-0, like I'll give all the players on the field maximum props for handling their defensive duties, because one goal, you wouldn't win with one goal if people just missed assignments. Rashford, he just keeps going off and going off and going off. He was responsible for all the goals. He assists for the first one. He caused the second one. He caused Cody to score. After Cody scored for Everton, Cody scored for us because he's tried to cut out the Rashford cross. So he got 2 goals today. Him and Rashford got 2 goals, but except Rashford scored his 2 goals for his team. And then Rashford scored. When did Rashford score his goal? He got the assist. I think he scored 2, because then Garnacho came in and got the penalty, and then Rashford put away the penalty. But Anthony Martial, you have to press harder. Like, you have to find that other gear. I love you got the skill, but you can't jog around out there. I keep saying this every week, and you just need more pressure from him. And
he's going to have competition for that place soon as well, potentially.
Yeah. So what do you think about Weghorst? Like, if United, that's the guy if we get him. It's weird. It's a weird get, especially after our manager said Man United had a history over the last few years of not buying quality players. We just bought okay players for a lot of money, and then next thing you know, we're like, we'll take a Weghorst, which is kind of weird, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of English football fans will judge him from his time at Burnley, which I think is unfair. He came in halfway through the season, with a team that were absolutely shot on confidence, that perhaps weren't supplying him the best. He did score a couple of goals and have a couple of good games there. But I mean, if you look at his record at Wolfsburg, he was pretty prolific in the Bundesliga. He's gone to Besiktas this season, and he's averaging a goal every 2 games. He's got 9 goals in 18 games for Besiktas. And at the World Cup, when they threw him on against Argentina for Netherlands, he scored 2 goals. He caused problems. So I think in teams that play a certain way and have got players who can supply him, I think he's very useful. He's physically very imposing. I think he would give you a different dimension, a different option in games. I don't think he would necessarily always start every game. There's some games where Martial probably still would be the better option. But it's good to have options in that position. And like I say, someone that gives you a different type of option as well. And I think a player like him, who's such a presence in the box, if you have players like Eriksen and Bruno and Rashford supplying him, then I think he'll actually be very effective. And I think for a short-term move, you could do a lot worse. This is a guy who's got top league experience, that's got international experience. I don't think, like I said, I think a lot of people will judge him purely on Burnley without looking at the rest of his career. And that's unfair, because I think he's a good player, and like I say, on a short-term deal, I think he's got a lot to offer. So I'd be worried if this was the summer and he was like your marquee signing, because it would be like, okay, is this it? But I mean, to just add something to the squad in the short term and give you that different option up front, I think there's a lot worse players you could have gone for, and availability is always an issue at this time of year as well. So I think in the circumstances, it's a good move.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, but I also think they just use Elanga, because sometimes Elanga can get goals, and Elanga needs more experience. So, and Elanga will press harder than Martial is. I do feel if you buy this, you borrow this guy, he'll put pressure on Martial. Like, you just have him warm up on the sidelines every time Martial's jogging, it'll speed Martial up. And maybe Elanga won't do that, because he's definitely not doing that or causing Martial to do that. But I feel like his numbers and Elanga's numbers, Weghorst, are kind of similar,
I mean, Weghorst has scored over 100 goals in his career.
No, I just mean in the Premier League. But I respect the goals that he scored. Like when he came to the Premier League, like, was it last season or season before? And you was like, that's a good buy for Burnley. You told me about his stats. I was like, all right, I started looking out for him, and he did score against United, or do an assist against United when we dropped points against Burnley. Or can't remember if that was a league game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
a cup game, and he hurt us. So, and it could have been just the team that he was on, and a style of play, and United style of play could fit him more, because he was top of the league in pressing, I think, when he was with Burnley. So, and that's what we need, and that's my problem with Martial. So, he might be on some Mitrovic shit.
He gives you a little bit of everything as well, because the dude's 6'6". He's a monster. Right. But he's also technically very good, and he's actually athletic. He's not like an immobile 6'6" forward. He's like he's definitely got a real like all-round dimension to his game, and like I say, he can cause problems in the air and on the floor, and he works hard, and he's just a monster physically. So centre backs will hate playing against him, and like I say, in a Burnley team that was struggling and were being pinned back in their own half, I think he wasn't maybe the most effective. But in a United team that want to play on the front foot, and his job will to be in and around the box and getting on the end of things with good service from good, because like I say, if you're a forward and you've got Eriksen and Rashford and Bruno and people supplying you, like that's a dream. Because I mean, Rashford I thought was superb against Everton as well. Twice he got past people and put those low crosses in to set 2 goals up, and the Anthony goal and the own goal, and then obviously just rolled the penalty in calmly as well. So yeah, I mean, this is the best I've seen Rashford in a long time at the moment. He's in some real good form, which, you know, is, I mean, everyone in this country loves Rashford as well because of what he's done off the field. So I think even for non-United fans, people can be happy to see him doing well. So I thought he was really good for you guys.
Yeah, and I stand corrected. I thought I might have said he scored 2 goals that game, but he scored 1. Yeah, but he just caused the one that Cody put in, and he had the assist to Anthony. But yeah, he's been balling his ass off. Let's just go to the EFL games. There's this is the quarterfinals of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Man U versus Charlton at United. United had the advantage of having a lot of home games. So let's see what happens with that. We should be able to beat Charlton, but let's not take anybody for granted. Newcastle versus Leicester. That's 2 Premier League teams. Who do you think got that?
I mean, you got to say Newcastle, really, with the sort of form they're in. As long as Newcastle take it seriously and put their full team out, I think they kind of see this as a more winnable trophy than the FA Cup based on the team they put out against Sheffield Wednesday. Because obviously Newcastle went out the FA Cup and they rotated quite heavily. They left a lot of their stars on the bench and they got caught out in this one. But I mean, the games, the schedule's so crazy right now. There's a game every 3 days, it seems. So teams have got to pick and choose a little bit and prioritize somewhere, because otherwise you're just going to run your players into the ground, and it's a tough time of year for that. So I could see Newcastle going back to a full strength team for this one. They're at home to Leicester. It's quarterfinals. City and United are the only 2 sort of big teams left in. So if Newcastle could beat Leicester and then they avoid, assuming United and City both win, United and City could get paired up in the semi-final. So if Newcastle aren't in that semi-final, that's them in a final. And Newcastle haven't been in the final for a while, I don't think. So I can definitely see why they'd potentially be prioritising this. The prize is the same for winning the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup in terms of you get a spot in the Europa League. So, I mean, the FA Cup has more prestige to it, but this one is, I think, more winnable for Newcastle. So, I think they'll beat Leicester.
All right. And then Nottingham Forest. 2 rivals for you down at the bottom of the table made it to this. So it's a funny competition because you're also in this and you're battling these 2 teams, Nottingham Forest and Wolves, who are going to be facing each other on Wednesday. So it's funny. So it's these 2 teams, and then there's Southampton versus Man City. You obviously have the toughest competition, but you could give them a fight. You show up for, I hope you take them out.
Well, I'm hoping Pep doesn't rotate too much in terms of his first team, because I mean, you saw against Chelsea, whoever he puts in will do a good job. I hope he rotates all the way down to the under 18s or something, just to give us something of a chance. But I mean, who knows? The City have a number. They have 20-something players who they could put any 11 of them out and demolish us. So my hopes aren't too high. I just hope in the Forest Wolves game that there's a whole bunch of red cards, a whole bunch of injuries, just an absolute apocalypse in that game. That leaves both of them to put both of them in a bad state for the league. I'm hoping they all get their key players injured. Forest Wolves. I hope they have red cards. Players get banned. I'm hoping for just a war in that game.
Do those red cards carry over to the Premier League from the Carabao Cup?
I think they do. Yeah.
You hope
otherwise,
they do,
a player would have to wait all the way till next season if they go out to have that ban. So I think I'm pretty sure they carry over. But yeah, either way, or some injuries would be nice.
Right.
Let's have some key players getting put out for the season in that game. It sound really evil, but
I mean, hey man, it's just your love for your team.
That's it. Desperate times. Call for desperate measures.
This is about your Southampton survival. So, all right, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much the Sunday podcast. We'll be back on Thursday with, give you talk about the games that went on this midweek, and then talk about the Premier League coming up back next weekend. For me, I just want to plug that I'm at the Creek and the Cave in Austin this weekend coming up, January 13th and 14th. 4 shows, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. Pull up, come through, check me out. And you got anything, Lee?
No, just want a quick shout out to 2 underdogs who did their thing this weekend. Obviously, Stevenage from League Two beating Villa, and also the Hollywood team, Wrexham, from the National League, knocking out Coventry from the Championship. Obviously, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, their boys, they did the job. They didn't really I think they were hoping for a big tie in the next round, but I think they got a Championship team. I can't remember exactly who it was now.
Sheffield Wednesday, I think.
Oh, Sheffield United, I think, or one of the Sheffields. I think it's United actually. So who knows? They could win again. But yeah, that's what the FA Cup is. That's one of the best things about the FA Cup is seeing, teams from way below leagues of other teams knocking some people out. So yeah, props to Stevenage and to Wrexham.
Yeah, let me just be clear about who they got. They got. It's not showing on my thing, but
I've got it here actually. It's United. It's Sheffield United.
Sheffield United. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big ups to Wrexham, but also to Stevenage, because I text Lloyd 3 hours before the game. Like, I put it in the chat. I was like, "Hey man, good luck today." And he's like, "LOL, yeah." And I said, "Hey man, Stevenage don't play." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "I don't think you're taking them seriously." And then I saw the highlights and I was like, "They won?" I was just joking. But I was just joking. But Stevenage, I've never even heard of them. Like, what team is named after a guy who lives at Stonehenge, like, combined? Like,
they had a really big upset back in the day. They knocked Newcastle out of the FA Cup years ago when Stevenage were back in the National League. This was I think it was late 90s that happened, because I remember that being that was the first time I'd ever heard of Stevenage, was when I was a kid, and that happened. And then they've done not much since. But I mean, the only thing they're known for is it's the hometown of Lewis Hamilton. That's pretty much all Stevenage is known for.
And where is Stevenage?
It's just north of London. It's in Hertfordshire, which you've got like the M25 motorway, which runs as a ring around London. It's just out the top of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what division are they in now?
League Two, so the fourth division.
4th division. So there's Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many leagues below them? 2 more, or that?
Below League Two.
Yeah. What's below League Two?
There's the National League, which is where Wrexham are, which is often referred to as the Conference, because it used to be called the Conference League, and then it turned to the National League. And then below the National League, it splits regional and goes National League North and South. And then, carries on going down after that.
Man. So, yeah, shout out to both those teams. Y'all did it. That's what the FA Cup is all about. It's like, upsetting giants. Cardiff almost did that today, knocking off Leeds, but I'm glad they didn't. And hey, man, thank you all for listening and watching. Like and subscribe, leave comments, tell us what you think about any of the stuff that we discussed. And we love you, and we'll see you Thursday. 1. Let me stop this.